Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you the team I'm using in the Chaos Shadows of Otherworld Exploration Season 3, and by far the hardest boss that I've encountered so far. Before I get into that though, I just want to say a huge thank you to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring this video. So if you are interested in getting involved in the game and giving it a try, please do click the link in the description or the pinned comment and get involved today. So in my previous videos I've showcased some of the other bosses and some of the other teams I've been using. But now it's time for the Poison team. So if you don't have Rook, the exclusive legendary from Corrosion, this boss is significantly harder than any of the other bosses you'll face this season. But there is a little bit of a workaround you can use to do that. So first of all, I'm going to showcase it on this boss, but then I do want to, at the end, run through how you can use this team against the Radiance boss that takes increased damage from ice damage. Because this team, as much as it isn't the right damage type, it does do a significantly large amount of damage on that boss still, allowing you to get that 22 million with a lot less work. So as I mentioned, this is the hardest boss. It's really quite annoying. First of all, its passive, for each stack of buff the monster has, increases its damage dealt by 10%. Then we've got control immunity, and the hero gains stackable total damage bonus permanently each time they release their ultimate skill. Then it's got the battle skill that it will perform twice, so deals fire damage to all enemies and gains 1 stack of damage reduction for 10 seconds. Each stack reduces the damage it takes by 5%, so it will repeat that twice. And then on the ultimate skill, soars into the sky and calls young dragons for assistance. After 15 seconds, it returns to deal fire damage to all enemies and sacrifices the young dragons. Each sacrificed young grants 1 stack of damage reduction for 15 seconds. So obviously 3 adds spawn here, so you have a chance to get another 15% damage reduction on the boss, and therefore 3 stacks, which will increase the damage dealt by 30%. So there are multiple ways you can go about doing this. You can either have somebody to remove those damage reduction buffs after the ads spawn and not kill them, or you can just try and kill them. So the way I've done this is I do have some skill timings set up, and it is simply just to make sure that all of my damage dealers are in line with each other. So sometimes this will be hitting the ads, sometimes it'll be hitting the bosses, but more often, most importantly, I'm making sure they're working in order. So first of all, my Dargo is going to go and he's going to start placing his corrosion, which does take a while to hit, followed up by my Whisk, who will then use his ultimate skill, and then once they've both used theirs, my Secredia will go and increase the amount of corrosion on the target. So as you can see here, she increases the corrosion on them by 20%, up to 1,500% of her attack. So the reason I've got her going last is because their ultimates both inflict corrosion, and then she's going to increase that. In this team as well, I'm using Furubath as my tank and healer, and I'm also using Varesh as almost a backup healer, but also Witch's Remains for this fight. So just to run through all of the builds, first of all, we've got Furubath. Furubath is built in the Puppeteer set to increase the defense of everyone around him. So I've got him built with a nice amount of defense. He's also using the Solar King's Horn to boost everybody's damage when he's healing, which is very constant with his battle skill. Obviously, as you can see there as well, that scales on defense. Next up, we've got Varesh, as I mentioned, wearing the Ancestral Protection set to reduce the damage everyone's taking. Built with plenty of accuracy to place Witch's Remains. The other good thing about Varesh, though, is on the battle skill, Varesh has a chance to remove buffs from targets and also places buff prohibition on the ultimate skill. So there's a good chance of getting rid of those damage reduction buffs. Next up, we've got Dargo. So Dargo is built with some crit rate, some crit damage, and a good amount of attack, wearing the Ravatrix's Roots artifact from completing Famiander in Season 2. As well as that, I'm wearing the mythical gloves that increase your attack based on your skill haste. So as I've got 40 skill haste on my Dargo, I'll be getting a nice amount of attack from that. Next up, we've got, we'll go for Whisk next. So Whisk is built with a good amount of crit rate, some crit damage, and a good amount of attack. Also wearing the Precise Carnage Gauntlets for that extra damage against defense penalty. And then lastly, we've got Secredia. So Secredia is built once again with crit rate, crit damage, and attack, wearing the Elite's Key artifact for completing Pillar of Trials in Season 3, just to increase the kind of burst damage from everybody. Not really necessary, it was just a really nice amount of attack that I could get on her. I could have also used the playing cards from Arena, but I decided to use this for increasing everybody else's damage at the start. Right, let's get into the run. Obviously, like I say, this isn't the easiest boss, especially if you don't have Rook. If you've got Rook, you can kind of just massively overpower this boss and do over 100 million very easily. But But once I've run through this, I'm not actually going to save this run. I'm going to jump over to the Radiance boss, and then we're going to hit that, and I'll show you how much easier it actually is. I will jump out though throughout this run, and I will speed it up. I'll be back at the end of the run, and we'll talk about how it went.
Just learn this. Icebound world. Take this.
Become my minion or die.
Just learn this. Take Icebound world. Right in the mire of pain.
Purge it all. Become my minion or die.
Just learn this. Icebound world.
Become my minion or die.
Just learn this. Take this.
And there we go. So that run is over. Obviously, it did hit over the 22 million damage with 38.3 million. However, like I say, this boss is significantly harder than other options. So if you're struggling on the fire boss to get your poison damage out, what I'd recommend you do is jump over to the Radiance boss. So if we go down to this far corner here, I think it's this one. Yep. So jump over to this boss here and put the exact same team in. There we go. So the exact same team is there. No difference in skill timings. This boss is so much easier. You can actually run all 15 teams against this boss regardless of what damage type they are. It's what I tend to do, so I don't have to worry about jumping around. I just hit the boss 15 times each day. And I can always guarantee this will provide more damage than the damage I did against the fire boss. However, anything over 22 million damage is completely unnecessary. So what I tend to do is stop my runs at 22 million damage. Just for the sake of the video, I will let it play out just to kind of show you how it gets on this boss. But if you are struggling to hit that 22 on the fire boss, do give this boss a try, because you may be surprised that your team all of a sudden works a lot better than you thought it would. So I'm going to jump out, I'll speed this run up, and obviously we'll get back to it at the end of the video, at the end of the fight.
Icebound world. Right in the mire.
Become my minion or die.
Just learn this. Take Icebound world. Right in the mire of pain.
Purge it all. Become my minion or die.
Just learn this. Icebound world. Right in the mire.
Become my minion or die.
Just learn this. Take this. Icebound world.
There we go. So we've come to the end of that against the boss. It's not designed to hit, and it's done 55 million damage. So if you remember, the fire damage we did was around 39 million maybe. So this boss, exactly the same gear, exactly the same skill timings, 0 changes at all, and it's significantly overperformed. So if you are struggling against that fire boss, do come over and hit the Radiance boss and see if you can get a better result to get yourself over the 22 million damage mark. So that is all for this video. I just want to say a massive thank you once again to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring this video. If you are interested in giving the game a go, please do click the link in the description and get involved. But other than that, just a huge thank you to you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.